Okay, so I thought I would jump on here. This is 2 days before I begin my 10-day juice fast at the beginning of April 2020. And been thinking a lot about diet and food and the larger community and how it affects one, if it does or if it doesn't, and what my kind of battle, you could say, or conversation that I've been having about the plans that I've had versus the larger global pandemic and the measures that we're asking we need to take and that we are taking and, projecting a changed world in the future. Uh, and, it seems to be on the forefront of everybody's mind. But at the same time that this happened, I stumbled upon a tremendous writer. Her name is Lionel Shriver. And it's one of those kind of, you open a door and you just find this present, and I stumbled upon her writing. And I was able to sit down and read one book called The Mandibles. And then I found that she wrote a book called Big Brother, and that I was able to borrow from our public library system and listen to the Audible book while I go about my business. And that's very convenient for me because sitting down to read I took an entire day to sit and read, and it's not my habit to do that. We are sheltering in place, so, it seemed a bit fitting, but it was an indulgence, but a worthwhile indulgence. She's a great writer, and she reminds me of Tom Wolfe. If anybody's read Tom Wolfe, he's, a little bit like Charles Dickens in that he has his characters operating in the larger landscape of culture, and he, by accurately depicting what modern or current families, individuals are experiencing, he describes the current culture in a very engaging way and a very evocative way of larger issues and um, larger conclusions one can make. And this book that I came upon is called Big Brother. And spoiler, it's about this woman's big brother who is morbidly obese. And the reality is that the author indeed actually had a brother who was in this condition, and apparently he died from it. And so it's a fiction book, and I'm about halfway through it. But it's all about food, And the sister of the morbidly obese brother is 20 pounds overweight. And so both of them need to lose weight. And it's the conversation in the family. She's married to a man who is an avid bicyclist and, never has an extra pat of butter on his dry toast. And he's a real health freak. And he plays a role in the dynamics of the family. And, I can see myself in, those people, and where I fall into the larger group and why I would choose to fall into one group or another and what, the argument for one or the other. And it just made me realize that my decision, several days ago to continue with my juice fast, um, I feel very comfortable with that. And I think that's a good decision. Um, when one decides to stop doing something because of negative repercussions, whether it's uh, smoking or taking drugs or over drinking or um, borrowing too much money, borrowing money, spending too much money, at a certain point, a person can come to a decision to never do that again. It's just like, no, I'm just never going to do that again. And then, life will perhaps present one with, oh, yes, but your town is being flooded and everybody's being asked to go sandbag at the levee. And you're like, you've made a commitment to stay home and, earn money or, to pay off a debt or whatever your plans were before, something else happened. And fortunately, in the situation that we're presented with right now, all I really need to do is social distance and, for me, wear protection, prophylactic gear when I go outside. But the idea of juice fasting, I mean, I can do that. That's not, in any way going to affect anybody else. And the good thing about the upcoming juice fast is that, it's like 2 days before that, I'm starting to really appreciate the fact that I can eat now. And I'm starting to sort of dread, all the discomforture, all the discomfort that I'm going to be facing, once this starts. It's, it's difficult. It's not easy, but it's sort of like wearing weights, resistance training, a handicap. It's like if you can operate, your vehicle and all your things in life, place is kind of torn up right now. I am getting organized, doing in-depth organizing, but you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. If you can take care of all your other, obligations and at the same time limit what you eat and, keep juicing and sticking with it for 10 days, it's just a kind of a long time. It makes me, one, stronger. It's building a muscle, and that's one of the principles that come out in this book, Big Brother, is that if you're going to be able to do something, even restrain from eating, it's like a muscle that has to be developed. You just can't, one day change everything radically. It's like my house. It has historically been disorganized. I can't snap my fingers and all of a sudden have everything organized. I have to constantly be working on it and constantly taking the actions that create that. And if I'm going to refrain from something, the ability to do that is built up by practice, by actually doing it more and more successfully and resisting the temptation to quit and developing those strong visions of why I want to do something and a dream, making that dream very visceral in my imagination so that I don't falter. And that's kind of how, one changes one's life or anything, or even if it's not changed, resists the entropy of life that, makes one's kind of slide into a less desirable place. This woman's brother, in the book, the fiction book, he gained hundreds of pounds in 4 years. And she says that if one has, I think it was 4 Cinnabons a day, that you can literally gain hundreds of pounds in 1 year. And this guy, gained hundreds of pounds in 4 years. So she hadn't seen her brother in 4 years. And when she saw him, he was hundreds of pounds heavier. And I know from my struggle with food is that it's not that hard to do, I mean, I think there's a lot of discomfort involved in it. There's a lot of, bad repercussions. But in terms of what one actually has to do to gain all that weight, there's really not much to it. Go to a truck stop, get 4 Cinnabons and eat them every day and you're done. And Cinnabons are good. And if you space them out through the day, you can probably get them down and eat the rest of your food. So, yeah, it is a battle. And she talks about the culture and the book actually takes place in Iowa, which is where I am. And she talks about going to the mall and the kind of norm, how it's shifted to, she calls it like, it's like humongous world or something. That's not the term she uses, but it's like gigantus. That's it. Everybody has gone gigantus, and so the norm shifts. And it's a difficult battle. And that's why I jumped on here, is because she was talking in the book and she was really getting down to the core of how difficult it is to lose weight and why people can't do it. That one cannot kind of fully imagine the amount of attention one has to put to it. And that's the character of the husband who's biking, and he loves to bike, and he's always taking time off his bike time, and he starts early in the morning every day, no matter what, and he always watches what he eats. And he's kind of portrayed as a, killjoy and a, kind of a judgmental person. But you sort of don't have a lot of options. It's like he's fighting his own battle, and he's decided to do it a particular way. And he runs smack dab into the rest of the culture, and he's he's kind of naturally isolated because of it. So anyway, so that's it. I just wanted to get on. I'm planning on beginning the juice fast on Wednesday. Perhaps I will go to the Mennonite store tomorrow. I think I probably will get some carrots and lay in what I need. Yeah, it's a worthy pursuit, and the main reason is because I said I was going to do it. I made this plan, 2 months ago. I analyzed the situation, and to me, this is the best strategy. And so I want to go give it the old college try, as they say, attempt to see this through to completion. So I will report in as we go through this. And I weighed in this morning at 130.6, which is really good. And that's right where I wanted to be. Like 2 months ago when I projected into the future, that's right where I wanted to be. One of the things that this isolation and having to stock in food and has done for me is it sort of made me appreciate, smaller portions and what tastes good, and not overdoing, not running to the store like on a yo-yo, because I'm really trying to limit the amount of times I go out in public. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share for today.